Welcome to the party, pal. Your friendly neighborhood master Chaos here for part 4/B of the films of Doris Wishman. What does the B mean? Well, that means we start a new box, and this is the Moonlight years of Doris Wishman. Moonlight, what does that mean? Well, I guess it means, I don't fucking know, the middle of her career. I guess it's the middle. I guess this is what the idea is. We're still waiting on what I predict will be the Sunlight years, which is all the nudie cutie movies she made early in her career. All her early movies, if I'm not mistaken, were nudie cuties. Moonlight years encompasses, I should say, 9 movies. 9 very boob-filled movies. For the next 3 episodes of this deep dive, we're going to be talking about 3 movies apiece. Today, we're talking about one of the most famous ones, and that is Bad Girls Go to Hell. We're also going to be talking about the super creepy Indecent Desires, and then the surprising A Taste of Flesh. Allow me to expound. Join me, won't you?
Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, motherfucker.
Doris movies are Doris movies. No one makes movies like Doris Wishman. If you've seen one, you'll get a taste, but if you watch the whole gamut of movies, you'll have a better idea of who she was as a filmmaker, at least the stuff that she was into, and she gets pretty kinky. I say this at the beginning of the box set review here for the Moonlight years, but if you're going to watch any Doris movie, I believe this box set is going to have the most crucial items for you. Case in point is Bad Girls Go to Hell, which I think is her most recognizable title. It's certainly the one that's the most associated with her filmmaking. So why don't we start there? Bad Girls Go to Hell runs 1 hour and 4 minutes. Shot by my buddy C. Davis Smith, who passed away 5 years ago today, as of the recording of this video, the improbably plotted Bad Girls Go to Hell is very indicative of Doris' style, speaking both in terms of story and direction. The film is classic sexploitation sleaze, but the most shocking thing about the movie is how tame it is. There is no real full frontal nudity in this one, which is an interesting choice. The camera always seems to cut away, or the girls turn away from the camera whenever the goods are on display. It's mostly buxom girls in fishnet lingerie with this one. We follow Meg, a young housewife who is assaulted by a neighbor. When the neighbor attempts to rape her a second time, she kills him while fighting him off, and instead of calling the police, she decides to flee the city and hide away from not only the police, but her husband as well. She heads to New York, and what follows is a series of vignettes where she rents apartments and runs into various pervs. First, she shacks up with a recovering alcoholic that she tries to get jiggy with, but he ain't having it. Second, she finds herself in the apartment of a lesbian, where apparently clothes are outlawed, and they can only walk around in lingerie. I'll spare you the litany of places she ends up staying, but for some reason or another she gets kicked out. And it's usually because whomever owns the apartment really wants to rape her. Doris, if anything, was known for her subtlety. The film follows a rinse and repeat model, which kind of wears thin even at just over an hour long. It's hard to hate on the movie, however, because it's so indicative of the Ruffies era of filmmaking. In my opinion, this is Doris' best title, but one of her surprisingly tamest movies. In terms of special features, you get a Frank Henenlotter commentary, which is a lot of fun. It's like watching the movie with an old pal who knows way too much about this stuff. He calls Bad Girls Go to Hell a violent soap opera, and I think he hits the nail on the head. I'm going to go with 3 stars for Bad Girls Go to Hell. It's the second Doris Wishman movie I ever saw in my burgeoning cinema youth. And we'll be talking about the first one shortly. It's not a great movie, and I could see people getting exhausted with sort of the anthology aspect of it. But it is so quintessentially a Doris Wishman picture that, you kind of just have to roll with the punches and accept it for the art form, the expression of the art form that it is. It's just okay, but it's 100% a Doris Wishman movie. If you see this movie, you understand Doris Wishman, except for the fact that there's barely any nudity. That was weird. That's actually a still from Bad Girls Go to Hell, right mid assault. Next up is probably her weirdest, most fetishy movie yet. Well, weird is I probably shouldn't say that because she definitely has some weird movies, but let's say her most fetishy movie. And this just so happens to be the first ever piece of Doris cinema I ever watched. Let's talk about Indecent Desires. Get out your dollies, guys, because it's time to fondle them. You'll know what I mean when I talk about the movie. Indecent Desires runs 1 hour and 11 minutes. This was the first Doris Wishman movie I ever saw. Well, honestly, I saw it in a truncated form on the USA Network show Real Wild Cinema, hosted by Sandra Bernhard, but it was my first taste of the world of Wishman. This is yet another improbable story. This time, a lonely loser digging through the trash in Central Park discovers a ring and a baby doll. He decides to take them home for some unknown reason. While walking home, he runs into a woman on the street who resembles the doll, and he becomes fixated on this young woman. He proceeds to take the doll home and fondle it as if it were the real living woman. As movie magic would have it, somehow the real woman begins to feel the pervert's caresses. Unlike Bad Girls Go to Hell, this movie does not skimp on the nudity and its grade A stuff. However, this film is played mostly silent, and that could mostly be attributed to the fact that the film was shot without sync sound, as most Doris movies are, and then maybe Doris deciding to make essentially a silent art house piece of perversion. It works for the most part, but at the same time, it also makes the movie a little boring, especially when long stretches of nothing happens. The movie feels like a modern-day indie movie with all the empty space and navel-gazing that comes with it. To me, this kills the energy and intensity of the movie and makes the 1 hour and 11-minute runtime feel like 2. This was a really fun concept, something that is ripe for creative material, but Doris just doesn't do anything interesting with it. And you can really tell that Doris didn't know what to do with this movie. It either didn't have a script and they were making it up as they went along, or the script was 20 pages. The movie struggles to find things to stuff in there to pad out the runtime, including a scene where one of the girls inexplicably gets naked and starts doing ballet in her living room while drinking a martini for a very long time. The movie does have a wicked little ending, but its molasses-like pace really just wore me down. Probably Doris's freakiest, creepiest little movie about a weird dude who likes to fondle dolls and pretend it's full-grown women. Yeah, it's weird, but it's also kind of boring. 2 stars for Indecent Desire. I had not seen the whole movie, I think. I've seen, like I said, portions on Real Wild Cinema. So I was familiar with the film, I was familiar with the material, but I don't know that I've actually seen the entire movie. I'll have to check, because I've got a Bad Girls Go to Hell DVD signed by Doris, which I'm going to find and I'll show you at the end of all these reviews, at the end of the entire box set deep dive. I'll try and find all my Doris ephemera, my collection and things like that, to show you how much I'm connected to Doris. So I might have seen it, but I didn't have any real memory of the full movie, mainly because there really is no full movie here. 2 stars, I think, is as good as I can do. It's so close to hitting the mark of being pretty great subversive weirdness, fetishy, kinky stuff, but it's so full of empty space that it just gets... You just start dazed. It's like, what's happening? Why are we following this? Why do we have to watch this person cross the street? It's like 2 minutes of this person walking. It's a little dull, and, I'm okay with quiet moments, but the movie's, like I said, played mostly silent. There's maybe 30 lines of dialogue in this whole thing, and it works against it. It just feels, there's not enough here to make a movie, in my opinion. Or I should say, there was, but Doris doesn't really mine the territory accordingly. However, the third and final movie we're going to be talking about today, I think, really does deliver the goods. I should mention real quick that the only other special feature on here is a second commentary track for Indecent Desires by Elizabeth Purchell. So give that a listen if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about Doris and the making of the film. The Taste of Flesh. What the fuck? The joys and sorrows of physical media. Jesus Christ. I had no problem with it. All of a sudden it just flew open. Whatever. The Taste of Flesh is the third movie on this disc 1, but I wanted to show you the inside real quick because there's some goodies to behold. There's a booklet that comes with this release, as you can see. I'm sure that you can actually see this. There's the lovely Doris. Of course, you know her from the thumbnails. It's an interview with Doris by Mike Watt. I know Mike. Pretty sure it's the same Mike. And then a essay by Lisa Petrucci, who co-owned Something Weird Video with her late husband. Let's talk A Taste of Flesh, because the tastiest stuff is always saved for last. You know, like dessert. A Taste of Flesh runs 1 hour and 11 minutes. Attention, all you restoration diehards out there. This movie is presented in standard definition from what honestly appears to be a VHS rip. It doesn't look terrible, but you can tell the obvious difference. Ironically, the worst looking movie is the best one on the disc. Nick and Frankie are a couple of thugs that break into an apartment and hold the 3 girls living there hostage at gunpoint. This being a Doris movie, I wouldn't blame you if you thought the 2 guys were there to sexually assault the ladies, but you'd be wrong. Kind of. The gunmen are here to assassinate someone, more specifically, someone that one of the girls works for. Once they get the information they need, they hunker down at the apartment with the girls, waiting for their target to arrive. I'd love to say this film is non-stop tension and suspense like typical hostage thrillers, but this is a Doris Wishman movie. Interspersed among the most dialogue-heavy scenes in any recent Doris movie, there's a lot of padding. There's a real dull, drawn-out moment halfway through where one of the girls is fast asleep and has a weird lesbian dream that is anything but sexy and way too long. The film offers no real story surprises or nuances, but it really feels like Doris had a script here and was working towards something instead of just shooting from the hip like the others felt like. It's not an amazing movie, but the fact that it stays on target with the plot, much less offers one to begin with, and didn't waste my time too much, means a lot. Doris Wishman makes a home invasion movie, and it's pretty dang good. Now, dang good in the, Doris Wishman bell curve kind of a thing here. I wouldn't say it's the best home invasion movie at all. It's not the best hostage girls, kidnapped co-eds kind of a thing ever made. Absolutely not. But as far as Doris Wishman movies go, this is probably the most solid and well put together movie. It feels like it's actually developing, heading towards a stated goal. There's momentum, and that's, I think, the important part. But of course, the film isn't without its dull padding that still exists here. Remember, we're still in the world of Doris Wishman, so don't expect a cracking, tension-filled ride. But compared to the other 2 movies on here, A Taste of Flesh is probably the best of the older Doris movies, only because we get an actual movie here. It doesn't feel like they're making it up as they go along. However, I can't go higher than 3 stars, which is what I gave Bad Girls Go to Hell. But if I had to choose, I would watch A Taste of Flesh again over Bad Girls because, beyond the nudity, I felt like A Taste of Flesh is a more rewarding film. So 3 stars. It's okay, and I think I almost don't want to call it good because it kind of straddles the line. But 3 stars, I think, is the right place to be for A Taste of Flesh. No special features for this movie, but this disc, the first disc, does include some trailers. So there you go. FYI, in case you're curious, this set is region free, and I would suggest, if you consider yourself a cinema scientist, a student of cinema, of even the subgenres, sexploitation and the like, roughies, things like that, then I would suggest grabbing it. Now, we do have 6 more movies to talk about. In my opinion, may change by the end of this, 2 episodes from now, when we reach the end of the Moonlight years. Will I say, you know what? I don't think it's worth it. But right now, my first impression is, if you want to know the world of Doris Wishman, this is the set to get. I don't think I have to say this, but let me clarify if you're new here. I don't make any money from recommending something or not recommending something. So just tossing out a friendly reminder. And in exchange, all I ask is that if you're new here, subscribe so you and I can hang out and talk movies. I would love that. That would mean the world to me. Drop me a thumbs up on this video because that helps me and the algorithm, and it lets YouTube know that this is where the party's at and you had a good time. And look, we can disagree, that's fine. Movies are subjective. There's nothing wrong with it. As a matter of fact, I urge you, if we disagree on anything, let me know in the comments down below. Let's be civil and let's talk like pals. I'd love to hear your opinion. It's just as important as mine. Do remember that if you choose to help the channel a little more, there is a Patreon where I give exclusive content. Links in the description. This is disc 2, by the way. I just realized I put it in backwards after it fell out of the fucking case, but that's neither here nor there. Disc 2 includes Another Day, Another Man, My Brother's Wife, and Passion Fever! That's coming up next on the 5th episode, Part B, for the Moonlight Years, for the films of Doris Wishman in general. I hope you'll join me, my friend. I hope to see you there. Take care of yourself. Remember, this world is tough, but if we could stick together, I think we can survive. My friend, I'll see you soon. But until we meet again, make sure to value yourself and your time on this planet, because I certainly do. And so I'm going to give you your time back. Thank you for sharing it with me. Until we meet again, peace out.